So, hey guys, just want to check in and see if you guys can hear and see me. So, Mickyle, make sure that you can hear and see me. Chat in the chat box, let me know that you can hear and see me. Awesome. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started with today's topic. Today's topic is going to be about accessing peace. And Shirona and I were tested with accessing peace today when all we wanted to do was be anxious about a particular situation and end up arguing about it. So here we are in our raw state. Sometimes you just have to pick up and you have to keep going. So that's where we're at right now. We're going to make the best of things and we're going to fly with it. Today, our guest is going to be Mickyle James Eshelman. He is the son of a business owner here in Fort Wayne, and Shirona's going to just give a little bit of introduction about him soon. But before we do, I just wanted to let you guys know, if you're listening from Facebook Live, you can comment, but we're not going to be able to comment because we're actually on this platform, which you need to sign up for. So if you're listening and you want to be in here and you want to chat and discuss, make sure you go to clearthenoise.org/T, the letter N, and talks, T and talks. All right, so let's get right into it today. First, I wanted to know, Shirona and I were curious what you guys were drinking. If you had any tea, what it is that you had. So type in the comments what kind of drink that you're drinking right now. Shirona, can you tell everybody what we're drinking today? Do you know?
No, I don't.
What does it taste like?
It tastes like rice milk or something.
Okay, can you show them? Let's see if I can. So it's milky looking. Basically what this is it's cinnamon tea, but I added a little bit of oat milk to it. That's my preferred milk substitute, and Shirona's as well because he got me hooked on it. But I just added one stick of, I don't have it with me, but I added one stick of cinnamon, or you can add half a teaspoon of cinnamon ground up to a mug, per mug. But for us, I just did, one stick of cinnamon about this big for 2 mugs of what we had. Then I added milk and a little bit of water, and the oat milk and a little bit of water, and then a little bit of honey. So I'm curious, Shirona, what you think about this combination.
It tastes very good. It's like having a nice beverage.
Like a tea, kind of like a milk tea.
Hmm.
Now, when we had the cinnamon tea without the milk, how did you feel about just cinnamon and water?
I think it's better with the milk.
Agreed. So, yeah, if you guys want to try out some cinnamon milk tea, just put yourself some milk and water in a pot, simmer it for about 10 minutes with a stick of cinnamon about this big, or half a teaspoon of cinnamon powder per mug. Do you want to add anything, Shirona?
Well, I just want to say something because tea is a very close thing to me, and also cinnamon, because before the British introduced tea to Sri Lanka, pretty much like all of the real cinnamon was produced in Sri Lanka. And in fact, my family used to grow cinnamon, and even now, little ad, which if you want quality cinnamon, it'll say Ceylon cinnamon on it. And cinnamon has many nutritional benefits to, like, from controlling blood sugar to immune system. You guys can look it up. There's so many things.
It's great for weight loss because of the blood sugar regulation. And it's actually very tasty with the milk.
And that's, yeah, it's like having a, one of those cool drinks.
Oh, it's almost like horchata.
Yeah.
that the Mexican rice drink.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I read somewhere today that this if you use the Ceylon cinnamon,
Mm-hmm.
which is same thing as Sri Lanka, Ceylon cinnamon is like the real deal. But if you use I think it's called cassia cinnamon, which is what typically is used
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times for cinnamon, it has some like toxic fake stuff in it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Even like for those you guys biblical, Moses tells people to bring caches, which is the name that Moses used from, I believe he said Taprobe, no Sarandib, two of the names that they used to have for Sri Lanka. So those are like, so he said, like, do not bring it from Far East, which is like the modern day China. So even Moses knew that Chinese were doing counterfeit, you know, thousands of years ago. I don't know
wow.
when he lived, like, a couple of thousand before Jesus, I believe. Yeah.
Um, Everyone who's checked in, can you just shoot a hi to everybody and let everyone know that you're here? And maybe let us know what you're drinking, if you're drinking anything in particular, tea, or maybe you have some coffee. We'd be curious to know what you got.
Hmm.
And then we'll head on into our topic on accessing peace, and we'll go from there. Mickyle actually agreed last night to he agreed to play for us. So he's a musician and he's going to be performing, which would be awesome. So anyway, welcome to everybody who's on. And Shirona, do you want to introduce Mickyle for us today?
Well, Mikhail and I have known for a very long time. Um, and I'm friends with his mom and dad and the whole business. Um, they're great people. But Mikhail grew up just like me with a lot of expectations. Sometimes what people don't understand is like, if you grow up in a family with like nothing, you don't have to expect much. But Mikhail's mom, Becky, is very smart, and dad is very smart, and aunts and everything. They were all high performers. So I know all of them personally, and then he had to set up a high bar to reach, and that stuff is not easy. And this brings like stress, anxiety, and that kind of stuff. Most of the times when we are trying to reach these things, we are not like really like even our parents. Like I'm sure Becky and Greg did not expect certain things from him, but the society tried to compare, like, hey, look at your mom, look at your dad. Those people are exceptional producers, and your aunt is like running all these organizations. She's doing great. So it's really difficult for someone growing up. And I could see that stress accumulating. And I don't even think that
With Mickyle?
Mikhail, I don't even think like Becky and um, Greg contributed that much, but those expectations are consuming and it's like eating you alive. And then all these like things that people set up that we have to reach, it's in the back of your head. And then it's very stressful when you get to that stage. So he has made some really bad decisions, which he is very accountable for, um, which he will talk about. And he has had like really bad things happen to him, but he's on a good path now. And when I talk to him, the way that he talks now is so mature, even compared to a year ago, when he was like I thought he was doing good. Even then to now, it's like a night and day difference because he has come to terms with himself. So he does not no longer, I believe, lives for other people. He lives for himself. And then from there, it spreads. So without further ado, we will be bringing Mikhail now. Um, So,
Yep.
are you ready?
Yeah, well, I was just going to say before we go, Mikyl's going to start off and he's just going to let us know kind of like what his life looks like right now, because you might be surprised to find out how he lives right now. But he's going to just describe what his life looks like now, and then he's going to go into sharing a little bit of his story with us. And I think he might follow up by a song that he wrote as he's a musician. So we'll just let him sort of order things how he likes, and we'll go from there. Those of you who are listening, who are actually on this platform instead of Facebook Live, you can chat a question or a comment at any point. If you're listening from your phone, however, that option is not available, unfortunately. But if you hop onto your desktop, that will be available if you want to chat and discuss with us as we roll. But we'll definitely open up a time after so that you guys can ask questions to Mikyl. So let's take it away, Mikyl.
Hello, my name is Mickyle James. Thank you very much for having me. Got my mug here. I am sorry to inform you that there is not tea in this glass, but I am drinking one of Shirona's favorite beverages, water. I've been very much looking forward to this day, and hoping that I could elaborate the things on my mind and the way that I envision, so I'm going to do the best that I can. So for the last, today is 114 days. My girlfriend and I have been living outside in the woods with the mission in mind to live a simple life, put life into a different perspective. And perspective is going to be a word that I repeatedly use because I think it is one of the most important things in life is how you look at things, and that's what definitely the focus is here for me. So we've been living not in one spot in particular. We've been kind of all over the place in Minneapolis, the kind of Golden Valley area. On the weekends, we tend to venture out a little bit further outside of the city. Minneapolis and the Twin Cities in general is kind of a unique place. I think it's probably one of the few places in the country that you could actually do what we're doing. There's lakes everywhere. It's in comparison to other big cities. It's definitely got a lot of nature within the kind of the chaos of the metro area. So if it had to happen anywhere, Minneapolis was a good choice. But so we started off when I moved to Minneapolis. My girlfriend and my sister were living together, and so we stayed at their place for a couple weeks until their lease was done. So as soon as their lease was up, we knew what we wanted to do, but had no actual plan about it. The whole idea in mind is we're gonna wing it and we're gonna do whatever happens in the moment. And so the lease was up, got all the stuff packed in the car, and we just drove and completely we call it freestyle picking because it's a show that I like called American Pickers, and they do this freestyle picking, so that's kind of what we associated it to. So we drive around and try to find a good spot that was secluded and away from any human activity, and we would kind of explore, and soon enough we'd find a spot. And our first spot was actually the spot we stayed at the longest. And it was near a park, and there was railroad tracks, so there was a place that I could park the car, and then so we just walked 15 minutes down the railroad track, and don't see people around anywhere, so it seemed to be a legitimate spot, and literally took a right off the railroad track into like some shrubs and bushes and this overgrowth everywhere. And there's just weeds, and I don't Mackenzie, I know, was losing her mind because she's like, what are we doing here? I'm just like, trust me for a minute. So I whip out my pocket knife and just start cutting down brush everywhere and like clearing a path. And then put up a tent, made a homemade fire pit, and that's what we called home for the majority of the time that we've been doing this. Out of the 114 days, we probably spent a good 60 days there. But that time really influenced us in a major way, and kind of what I was looking for with this whole experience. I want to be able to appreciate things in life that aren't usually appreciated or even acknowledged. And so with that time there, just being in nature, nature is such a great place to find peace because it's natural. It's not influenced by the poison human hand that is destroying everything. And now, just simple things like taking a shower or just like having like a meal and like using utensils and being able to sleep. And I slept on my sister's couch last night, and it was just such a beautiful experience to have that. It's like, oh my gosh, like I cannot believe my perception of this. Something as simple as sitting on a comfortable couch and just having a fan on me. And I think we just get, as humans as a whole, get so consumed by society and like the way things are meant to be. It's like we lose focus on what is really important in this life. And it's very much altered our perspective and the way we look at life. When I feel challenged in life, it makes me feel alive. And it sounds crazy, but I've kind of shifted my mind to look at negative things as something good. Like, it does not need to be... Negative things in life don't need to be looked at as a burden, but it could be used to enhance the good in your life. And one thing I thoroughly believe is good does not exist without bad. If there was no such thing as negative or something bad, the good wouldn't exist. It would just be what it is. And with that contrast of dark against light, negative and positive, it allows the good to occur because of the negative that you go through. And I feel like the more negative life experiences that you have, you're set up, if you choose to deal with it the right way, you're set up to be at peace in your life and have a clear vision and a better understanding of what life is about. I spent 10 years of my life on drugs. I did about 9 years on heroin. And I thoroughly think, first of all, I'm grateful. As crazy as it sounds, I'm so thankful that I was a heroin addict. I am a heroin addict that just chooses not to use. But I'm so thankful for that time that I had because it just put my perspective in the right place, and it allowed me to realize that stop wasting time. We only get one life. We get it as long as we get it, and then our match gets blown out. And we don't know when that's going to be. You want to show the tattoo? My sister just got a tattoo of a match. We don't know how long we're going to get it. You don't know, all the people listening. This could be our last day. And so we don't want to sulk and dwell in the negative, but embrace it and realize that this negative has good in it. I can become a better person with this. And just for example, I was just last Friday, I believe, I was doing a really crappy job at my place that I work. I normally mow grass, but on this day, we were doing what's called a dethatch, and it's pulling all the dead grass from the below the surface, and kind of allows like the grass to breathe. And it was like 95 degrees, humid. I had sweat from head to toe, and there was just dust and grass everywhere, just like floating around. I was breathing it in, and it was all over my skin, and it was just like a miserable experience. And that my perception clicked, and I said, I made myself smile. I'm like, this is crazy and it sucks, but I love it. Like, bring it on. Like, I can do anything I want to do, I can do. And it's all how you look at it. You can make bad good, but if you choose to sulk and dwell and just put all your focus on that negative, you're gonna be a negative person. You're not gonna be happy. And that's what I find also a lot in life is negative people will dish out their negativity to you if you're around them enough. And one of the guys that I work with, he's a great guy, was such a nice guy, really kind and giving and loving person, but he is a miserable, tortured individual. He is so negative all the time. And I just look at that, I look at people, and nothing against him, but I look at these people that are just dwelling in this negative, and I use it to my advantage and say, I don't want to be like that. I want to be happy. I want to wake up every day, step out of my tent, take a breath of fresh air, and just say, bring it on. I can do anything I want to do if I try hard enough. And if I'm positive about this, I take the negatives. There's going to be negatives. Everyone's going to deal with them. How are you gonna play your cards, basically? Shirona, the stuff that you were saying before, as you introduced me, you allowed me to learn a lot about myself that I didn't even realize, because my parents are both great people, and they never were bad to me at all. They were always kind and loving and always in my best interest. But I mean, with you saying that, I did have expectations, not necessarily from them, but all the people around me are doing all these big things, running businesses and doing this and that. And it's like I am expected to follow in their footsteps in one form or another. And it's just funny because it didn't really even dawn on me until you told me that. So Shirona is a very wise individual. I look at him as my mentor, my guru. He's guided me a lot. He actually helped me get an article in the Pioneer Press newspaper last week. And because my focus for my music was in booking, I figured I just need to book as many shows as possible and do this and do that. And Shirona says, no, don't do that. That's not what's important right now. You need to work on your story. You've got a story to give to people, and the music will come with that. And Shirona has been an extremely positive influence on my life, along with many other people. My friends back in Fort Wayne, my family, and God is number one. All this that I talk about is because of God, and I do everything through Him. He guides me. It's like I kind of saw so you understand, feel people can choose to like hate for it and be disappointed with the I'm so thankful for it. I tell after story about that. I don't even really care. But with that, I've something traumatic. I don't think it equals to be. Um, uh, so much, uh, and we got a did a lot first year, and I
Hey guys, I'm sorry, there's some kind of issue with the internet on Mikyl's end. He probably doesn't know that it's been breaking up as he's been talking. But Mikyl, can you hear me now? Yeah, just to repeat that the internet was breaking up on Mikyl's end, so we had to switch it over to us for a moment. Mikyl, can you hear me now? Can you see me and hear me? Well, Mikyl, are you there? He's probably checking his text messages because I messaged him a bunch of text messages and stuff like, can you pause for a moment? The internet is breaking up. I think it's, for some reason, the internet connection on his end was breaking. So while we're waiting, he should have gotten the message, but I'm just not sure if he can see and hear me right now. But while we're waiting, what I'll do is I'll go ahead and we'll kind of like let you know. We'll keep you updated with. Oh, okay, do you see me? No, I do not see you, Mikyl.
Now we can add him back again.
Bear with us for just a moment. Okay, so let's go ahead and try it again, and we'll try to send it over to him again, and if there's any problem, we'll do plan B.
Just say the Facebook Live is not working right now due to maintenance.
Yep, you said it.
Guys, Facebook Live is down right now due to maintenance, so there's not much we can do about it. So if you are on, we don't have his internet connection.
But last time I didn't have his internet and it worked.
Okay.
All right, we're going to try this again. Let's see how it does.
His grades, he won't be able to get
Yeah.
It won't work.
Okay.
How about since Becky is on, we ask Becky to say something about his son?
If she wants to.
Yeah.
So Becky, Shirona was wondering if we just gave you the mic, not the video cam, but the mic, if you maybe could say a few things about Mikyl while we're waiting for his internet to connect. So I don't know if she's watching from her phone or what, because like
Yeah,
If she's watching from her phone, she can't say, "Yeah, I'll do that," because the chat doesn't work.
Yeah, but it might give it to her. And
okay, we're gonna hand it over to you, and if you don't want to do it, just be like, "Hey, I don't have anything prepared." Okay. Hey, Becky.
What do I do? Can you hear? I don't know if they can hear me. Oh, okay. I don't have anything prepared, but I would just say that I'm extremely proud of Mickyle. He continues to amaze me in his drive and passion for his music and just, you know, when he puts his mind to something, he does it, just like that whole outdoor thing. Is Mickyle talking now? But no, I'm very extremely proud of him, and just the path that he's taken in his life, the fact that he has been clean. Yes, I was concerned about him for a while. It was probably one of the hardest things as a parent to, for me, was the hardest thing was, I guess, not knowing if I was ever going to get the phone call that he's OD'd or that he's, you know, died. But yeah, it was a very hard time as a parent. Yes. It's hard to know what to do, I guess. We prayed about it a lot, and we had to get to a point that we had to almost just kind of let him go, as hard as that is as a parent, but we felt like we had to do that in order to I guess, to try to get his attention. That was hard as a parent, to not help him anymore until he could help us himself.
Yeah.
I think for so long we, I think, helped too much, and it kind of backfired. So yeah, I don't know. And as far as emotionally, I think the whole family. I mean, I think everyone would agree that, gosh, it was just a really hard time for sure. Yeah, I can hear you guys.
Oh, you can
I can hear you typing. Yeah.
I've been typing all my questions all time.
You guys were so quiet, but then when I heard you typing.
Okay, I was just curious with you seeing where he is at right now. Oh my gosh, there's an echo, and I can't even think about what I'm saying.
I know that I could hear that too.
Oh, okay, that must be difficult. Well, we'll wrap up with this, but I was just curious, you know, you see where he is right now. He's at a much better place. How does that help you to think about things in the future? You know, like trusting that things will come together.
Yeah, it's helped. It's helped a lot. Like I said, he never ceases to amaze me, and I just know that just his outlook on life, it makes me feel so positive looking to the future. It's definitely thankful to God that I do have this peace now, because I have not always had that, as you know. So yes, it's a big comfort.
Looks like Mickyle is back on, so we're gonna give him the mic.
Mickyle says, "Hey, Mom." Okay, good, good. He can take over.
Thanks, Becky.
Yes.
Just kidding. I don't really know where I left off. What is that? Okay, so I'm going to talk just a little bit about the music journey, and then I'm going to play a song and call it a day. So we started a band called My Dog Jr. in Fort Wayne, and we did really great. We grew tremendously in 1 year. And so I felt like we were kind of just going to circulate, do the same thing, because Fort Wayne, although it has a great music scene, it's a smaller city, and there's some great venues in there, but there's not near enough to experience in comparison to a city like Minneapolis. So I came to visit a couple times, and then I saw the significance of the music scene here and realized, like, oh my goodness, like, this is pretty amazing. So I had someone I knew here at least, and Mackenzie was along for the ride. So I came to Minneapolis and got busy and played probably 15 shows since I've been here, and it's been great. I've created somewhat of a following. Got an article in the newspaper, and I feel satisfied with my time here. And because the winter is coming, I plan to go back to Indiana for 2 or 3 weeks, visit with everyone, kind of just relax for a little bit inside of a house, and then go to New Orleans and try it all over again. That situation is going to be a little bit more nerve-wracking, just because I don't know a soul there. I've never been there, and I'm literally just going to get in the car and drive to a place I've never been and try to make something happen. And the whole idea of that, the canvas, if you will, is just like such a beautiful thing to me. It's just like this blank page. It's like I can put down whatever I want to if I try hard enough. I can do anything with this canvas. I can make my life something. My goal is to, when I'm sitting on my deathbed, whatever age I may be, is just to look back and be satisfied with my life and not have any regrets and say, I did it. I'm here now. I'm satisfied with my death that I produced such a life out of it. And the whole music thing is that basically the boat that's carrying this whole idea that I have, the music, it goes hand in hand, and also reflects I believe April. I'm planning a 17-day tour throughout the country, and we're just staying as busy as possible. And I've been gone for 4 months and have returned 4 times, just to keep time with my band, because I know how important it is to. It will get stagnant after a while, and practices become weird. It's kind of, now it's like riding a bike. We have one brief practice and we're right back to where we left off. So that's one great thing. But I think that's pretty much all I got. I'm going to leave you guys with a song that basically, the favorite song I've ever written. It basically sums up everything I've talked about today and my perception and what's really important and what drives me in my life. So thank you guys for listening. This song is appropriately called I Live Outside. I hope the connection stays good, but this sums up why we do what we do out in the wilderness. When I say I live outside, I wanna feel alive. Get away from whatever you say, I wanna feel alive. Talk to Jesus, lead me on my way. Well, I don't need anything on this life at all, I say. But then let me stand loud and proud, lead me on my own. I don't need you or you to tell me how to roll. But then I threw side my 45 in a river off away. No dead man from my hand, nobody to proclaim. Who am I to tell you to? You do what you wanna do. So grab a beer and steer on clear all the fear you hold so dear. When I say I live outside, I wanna feel alive. Get away from whatever you say, I wanna feel alive. Talk to Jesus, lead me on my way. Well, I don't need anything on this life at all, I say. But then let me stand loud and proud, lead me on my own. I don't need you or you to tell me how to roll. But then I threw time my 45 in a river off away. No dead man from my hand, nobody to proclaim. Who am I to tell you to? You do what you wanna do. So grab a beer and steer on clear all the fear you hold. Thank you for listening. Have a great day. Thank you, Jessica and Shirona, for having me. It's been real.
So I loved that song. I just kind of wanted to stay in that space for longer. Yeah, I felt the yearning in it. So Mickyle, I think what we'll do at this point, I just wanted to thank you for playing for us and sharing a little bit of your heart and your soul with that. It's a little bit difficult to hear the words because the microphones aren't so great on our computers, but I heard a little bit of it. I heard about Jesus. I heard about that part and getting out into the wild. And so anyway, I would love to be able to ask you some questions if that's okay. So I'm going to hand you not the video cam, but the mic, Mickyle, so that we can ask you a few questions. And anyone else who's listening, if you have any questions for Mickyle, please ask them now. So Mickyle, I'm going to give you the mic.
Should I call? I'm going to call you real quick. Oh, wait. I hear you.
Okay,
Okay, you hear me. Good.
Okay.
Okay, I hear you too.
All right.
This
is all a bit new, so we're still learning how it all rolls for everybody that's watching.
That's cool. It's just fun.
I really appreciate you sharing your music with us. How many songs have you written thus far?
What, since I've been living outside, or like my whole life?
Your whole life.
I have no idea.
100?
I have like circulating songs that like we play, like I play live or with the band. We have like probably 30 that we original songs. But I mean, there's no way to tell. Like I've had so many songs that I write and forgot about, and hundreds.
What are some of the lyrics to the song that you just sang?
It says, when I say I live outside, I want to feel alive. Get away from whatever you say, I want to feel alive. Talk to Jesus, lead me on my way. I don't need anything of this life at all, I say. But then I let me stand loud and proud, leave me on my own. I don't need you or you to tell me how to roll. But then I threw aside my 45 in a river of Fort Wayne. No dead man from my hand, no bodies to proclaim. Who am I to tell you to? You can do what you want to do. So grab a beer and steer on clear of the fear you hold so dear.
With an accent.
I have this draw on my music, and it's influenced by Jake Bugg. It's this musician I listen to, and the funny thing about it is he's British, so he's influenced by other people. It's funny how influences kind of do that to you.
Yeah. I love the lyrics. What seems to be repeated quite often was this idea of really separating from the noise of what other people say you should do and be.
Exactly.
So I have one quick thing.
Yep.
I'm sure you have Mackenzie and Madison around. Can they live with you like pretty much every day? Can they say something about?
Madison's right here. Mackenzie's actually, she's in Indiana right now. But,
okay.
I think Mackenzie's in this thing, so, if Madison's right here, if you wanted to ask her or talk to her, and then if Mackenzie wants to comment, say if she wants to or not. But, Madison's right here, so go ahead and shoot.
Hello.
Hi.
So you have known your brother all your life.
Yes.
So
she's laughing a lot at that one.
So tell us like something that you see like in him like that's so unique to you.
Yeah. Well, the brother that I have now is not the brother that I've had my whole life at all. Who he's been just in the last couple of years is completely different than my childhood brother. When I talk about him to people, which I do often, because there's not many people in this world like him, he is the most positive person, but not those annoying kind that you're like, oh my gosh, just it's okay to feel pain, like not that kind of positive. Like he embraces pain and acknowledges the importance of pain in life, but he just turns it into something beautiful. And his perspective just makes everything good. He'll text me sometimes in the morning, just a picture, and say, "Have a beautiful day," or "Isn't life great?" You know, he's just so positive all the time, and it's this joy and this perspective of his life that is just touches everybody who he comes in contact with.
But when did you see this shift in him?
I think when he moved in with his friends on Runyon, he moved in with his friends, he stopped using heroin, he became obsessed with God in an awesome, beautiful way that's inspiring to everyone around him. It was just a complete turnaround when he got some good friends and started pushing himself. So would you say
that his association made a big difference?
Yes, like who he was associated with?
Yes.
Oh, absolutely. Having people I think that he could just have fun with and experience life with, like the good parts of life with, I think made a huge difference. He got to be able to be himself and be loved for it.
So do you ever feel that he's annoying right now?
He's annoying?
Yeah.
Annoyingly positive about life, maybe.
That's what people say about you.
But no, not really.
So
It's hard to be annoyed with him.
Did you have any moments that you say like please go back to Indiana already?
Oh, not at all. I'm like begging him to stay. I don't want him to leave in November.
I have a question for Mickyle.
I'm here.
I guess if you had to go back to the old you, what would you say to that old you? What advice would you give, or what encouragement?
I would say just sit tight, embrace what you're dealing with. It's all happening for a very particular reason. And it was really scary that a lot of times, because I thought that there was a possibility that that's how I was going to die. Like that's how my story was going to end, is as a junkie sitting in my apartment or something. And so I guess in the moment, you become so out of tune with life and you lose hope, and I almost just accepted that's how it was going to go down, because I didn't really care much. The drug just takes everything out of you, and you can't think clearly until you get it out of your life. So I'm really fortunate. I would just tell myself, sit tight, it'll be over in a little while.
Seems like much of life is just riding that wave, you know, the highs, the lows, and seeing through your difficulty to the end.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree.
Okay,
I don't know what that was.
What advice would you give for those who are struggling with addiction?
That's a tough one. It's a really tough advice, because it all boils down to the individual. No one's going to help anyone get clean. It has to be up to them first. They have to make the decision to say, I'm fed up with this way of life. I don't want to do this anymore. It has to be true. It has to be genuine. Because there's people that will say it over and over again. And I think they mean it, but it's not a top priority to them. It needs to be a priority. And I don't really go to NA and AA meetings anymore, but I've been to probably over 500 of them.
Wow.
And lived in a halfway house for 17 months. And so I'm pretty well versed on how it works. And I strongly recommend, if you want to get clean, to attend some of those meetings. Get involved with people who are just like you, that have overcome these things. People that will influence you positively. If you're hanging around with people who do what you're trying to quit, it will never happen. You need to get away from the people who are negative influences on your life, and you need to hang out with people who are going to help you and be in your best interest and look after you. And that's what my best friends did, the Runyon boys. They were there. They just reflected this sense of positivity. They're so outgoing and just rambunctious and spunky and always building things and creative stuff. And it's like, hey, let's go to the river, let's go fishing, let's do this, let's do that, let's build this. Like, just kid stuff, like childhood stuff. It's like, oh my gosh, like people do that, like adults act this way. I loved it. I loved it so much that they showed me that I could quit doing heroin. I could live a life like they're living. And so influence is everything. If you have positive people in your life, it will reflect onto you if you allow it to. But if you're around negative, you're going to be negative, and that's drugs or alcohol or whatever it is.
Did you intentionally surround yourself with those good influences, or did it just happen?
It kind of it sparked without my hand. So my friend Adrian called me, says, hey, like, let's go fishing. And I was 3 days clean, and so I was feeling very rough around the edges. I was in my withdrawal stages still. And I just said, screw it, like, I don't care, I'm miserable. I feel like I just want to get out there and do something. And so we went fishing, and then I drove and then took him back to the house, and that's when I saw a bunch of kids I went to high school with. They all lived together. There's Mike and Mike Stahl, Nate Roush, Jeremy Gunderson, Andy Gelwicks, and Adrian Mayer. And I just like popped into their house and just like saw how cool their house was, and it was just like fun, like a, you know, like it's not like you go into any else's house and everything's like nice and neat and all their little knickknacks and here and there. It's like they have a poster in their living room, and it's like, it's so cool. They got drum sets and like a music room. It's like, oh yeah, like this is me. This is what I need right now. And I recognize that like this could be very beneficial to me to have these as friends. And from the day, I never told them this, so I hope one of them are watching. From the day I stepped foot in that house, I said, I want to live here. I want to live in this house with these guys, but I can't let them know how badly I want it, because I feel like if you unveil like your emotions, I feel like it sometimes works against you at times.
Yeah.
So I just kind of pretended like I didn't want to, and I kind of got the vibe that they wanted to ask me. And Adrian was one day was like, "So when are you going to move in, Mickyle?" And I responded like I had my poker face on. I was like, "Well, I don't know. Like I kind of like my house, even though I hated my house. I wanted to get out of there so bad because it was just like that's where all my memories of my misery is at." I was ready to roll, so I kind of pretended I didn't really want to move in. I was like, I don't know, maybe. And then everyone was just like, yeah, come on, Mickyle. And then once I had everyone on board, I was like, okay, I'm moving in with you guys. And I ended up putting a sheet up in their living room, and I slept like in this section of their like living room. It was so funny.
I love how in this what you just shared with me, it was as if something came to you and you took that opportunity, you latched onto it.
Mm-hmm.
So what I guess I want to know from you, do you think that those opportunities come to us a lot, and it's just a matter of whether we take them or not?
Yeah, that just, I mean, I guess it's hard to distinguish what is for what and this and that, but I just feel if you remain positive and really sit quiet and not talk so much and evaluate different situations, you can obtain the meaning behind certain things and the reasoning for certain things. And him giving me that phone call that one day was completely out of the blue. Like I hadn't even talked to him in probably like a year. And he calls me and said, "Hey, you want to go fishing?" And I was like, "Not really, but yeah." So I went. It was like so great. And I think a lot of times opportunities like that come into people's lives, and they don't take the time to see the potential and what it could be in whatever situation it may be. Mine is, I got a particular way mine worked out. But how often do these opportunities come in people's lives and they just let it go because they don't take the time to evaluate and study? And one of my favorite times in my life is when I'm sitting by myself, like a lot when I'm driving or when I'm out in nature in my tent, and to sit down and look through your day, look through your life, look through all the files and all the things that are going on, and take time to think and evaluate all of this. And it allows you to gain a wisdom and allows you to respond in an appropriate way.
So, Mickyle, I want to talk to you about something quick.
This will be the last thing.
Okay.
Especially because I have to use the restroom.
I have been noticing recently there's a big difference between separation and detachment. So we're going to talk about this in the future. Like, to me, separation is like you try to refuse and go away, and detachment is like it's there, but you're not attached to it.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yes.
So can you tell me, like, pertaining to your life, how did that work?
I was thinking when you
Can you give me an example, maybe?
Mickyle, you sort of like separated from the people's voices in your head.
Or you
Or
detach
detach
from it, perhaps is a better word.
I guess the vast majority of people, it goes against like the society way. I guess living outside is one. People telling me like, why are you doing that? Like, are you crazy? Like, why do you think that's a logical decision to make? And people won't understand, and I'm totally fine with that.
But if I may add, let me tell you something. When you went and lived, you really did not live by yourself because you kept communication with your family, your friends were there for you, right? And your sister was close by. So you didn't go like crazy separating and saying like nobody's ever going to talk to me. But you found peace within yourself. You were not attached to any perfect person or place.
Yeah, that kind of falls into the whole, like I've been dependent on drugs and people in my life in order to be able to function properly. And to be able to separate from being dependent on certain things and to allow to breathe completely free with no monkeys on my back at all. I think it's really significant.
Do you think that on some level everyone in order to find peace in life has to go out into the wilderness and detach from society and all the voices in their head in order to find peace with who they really are?
No, definitely not. I think anyone can find peace wherever you're at. I think it's just like God. It doesn't matter where you go. He'll be there with you if you want him to be, if you acknowledge him. And I could be out in the woods or I could be in China somewhere. And the peace lies within you. You don't need to go out and do what I'm doing. I'm an extremist on finding and accessing peace as much as I can. And it just all falls down to perspective. It doesn't matter where you live. You don't have to go into a tent. And allowing to be being vulnerable and accepting the negatives in your life. Yesterday, I took down we've had a few campsites. I took one of our campsites down yesterday, and I was getting ready to take a shower. I got a gallon jug that I fill up with water, and I heat over the fire. I got some soap, and I was getting ready to take a shower, and I was filthy from the day's work, and I was butt naked, sitting in my little tent area, and I just like sat on the ground and just like looked around, and the way the sky is in the fall, the way the sun is, it provides like this weird feeling. I don't know how to explain it, but the way like the light was like shining in and the dirt all over my body, and I cried. I just sat there and wept and like reviewed my whole summer. It's like, oh my gosh, like this phase is like coming to an end. I can't believe what me and Mackenzie have done this whole time. So I sat there naked, just feeling totally vulnerable, crying, and just loving and appreciating my life. And it wasn't a bad cry at all. It was just like a dawning that these times come to an end. The leaves are starting to fall on the ground. The colors are changing. It's just so symbolic to the spot that I'm at in my life right now.
And probably a feeling of so much happening inside of you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot going on in this head of mine. It's a lot more than I feel I could even handle at times.
Well, we both wish you very well on your journey. And we're very glad to know you.
Glad to know you. Thank you guys so much for having me. This is so much fun. Like I said, I'll be back in Fort Wayne, and on November 11th, I'll be back for either around 2 weeks to a month. So I'd like to get together with you guys and maybe have dinner or something.
Agreed. And if you perform, please let us know.
Right on. I anticipate some heavy booking within that time frame that I'm home.
Okay.
just to get some time with the band. So I'll definitely keep you posted on the schedule.
Do you want to lead anybody to any information in case they want to contact you, book you, or anything?
You could look on our Facebook page, My Dog Junior. You can contact us that way, or you can just get on my Facebook page, Mickyle James. It's MICKYLE, and shoot me a message. Say hello. My email is MikyleJames7@gmail.com. Feel free if anyone that's struggling or you just need some advice. Like I usually try to make myself available, but I will make time for you. So yeah, shoot me a message and let's be friends.
Thanks so much, Mickyle. Next week, Shirona and I are going to be talking about Shirona had this realization, or just like something he discovered recently, and he showed me what it said. It was kind of like some religious writing, spiritual writing. And so next week we're going to talk about almost like piggybacking off of what was said today about really how to access not only peace but happiness. So for those of you who have been feeling restless, those of you who have been feeling discouraged without a lot of hope about your future, this is for you. We're going to be talking about what is needed as a prerequisite for happiness and for peace. Well, you say it better than me. Basically what Mikyle's doing in a sense, sort of detaching from the voices that are in your head and the shoulds and the should nots and all that stuff that's circulating. But at the same time, connecting with what is truly us, connecting with God, connecting with others, and being connected with just life in general. So we're going to talk about those two things which seem opposite. This is disconnecting and then there's a connecting. So we're going to talk about how you disconnect from the old you and connect with who really is you, which I think is what Mickyle is doing right now. So next week that's going to be the topic, and we're going to read a few things and ask you guys questions and hopefully stir up some discussion. And that'll be all. Thank you so much again, Mickyle.
Bye. Thank you.
Peace.
Peace.